The Trumpet Daily Update from Jerusalem.
Hello everyone, this is Stephen Fleury again, reporting from Jerusalem. Robert Morley posted an excellent column today at thetrumpet.com about the civil war in Syria. And as you know, over the past several months, Syria has been locked in a violent struggle for power. According to a human rights organization, the death toll since the conflict began has reached over 16,500 people. Just in the last week, about 800 people have been killed. The war in Syria is prophetically significant because Bible prophecy describes two main Middle Eastern alliances that formed just prior to the Great Tribulation. And what we're seeing in Syria is accelerating the development of these two prophesied alliances. Now, Psalm 83 describes one of these power blocks. To study this further, make sure you read all of Mr. Morley's column at thetrumpet.com. Now, as we've reported before, based on Daniel 11, Germany is prophesied to lead an end-time united European power, the prophesied King of the North, into a violent clash with the King of the South, or Iranian-led radical Islam. But when you add Psalm 83 to the mix, we see that at the time Europe invades this region, the Middle East will be divided along the lines of those nations that back Iran and those nations in the Middle East that oppose Iranian dominance. Syria is prophesied to fall into the power bloc that opposes Iran, which is why we're watching events in that nation so closely. Now, historically, of course, Syria has had close ties with Iran, but that will soon change, and it may happen as soon as Assad is shoved aside. The pressure for Assad to leave is growing by the day. Germany has already voiced support for some kind of military intervention from the West, and according to GermanForeignPolicy.com, one German official has already said that if military action is taken against the Assad regime, quote, German participation should be assured. Turkey is also applying pressure on Assad, especially after the incident last week when Syrian forces shot down the Turkish plane. Mr. Morley wrote, so far Turkey has refused to invoke Article 5 of the NATO Charter, which would require the alliance to consider Syria's attack on Turkey an attack on themselves. However, according to analysts at Stratfor, now that Turkey has officially confirmed the downing of its aircraft by Syrian forces, it has no choice but to respond. It may warrant a conventional military response. Now, added to that, the Gulf Cooperation Council, led by Saudi Arabia, has been openly supporting the rebels in Syria. So the pressure for regime change in Syria is intensifying. As it does, keep an eye on the two power blocks that emerge in this part of the world. The true significance of the Syrian civil war, at least from a prophetic standpoint, is actually what's happening outside the borders of Syria. Outside of Syria's borders, deals are being struck and alliances are being formed that will soon impact the rest of the world, and powerfully so. Now, we've also been helping you watch Egypt, and in some ways I know we sound like a broken record almost, but look, what's happening there is incredibly significant. It really is. Of course, Western news outlets have applauded Mohammed Morsi's election because they see it as a victory for democracy. But isn't it telling the way a number of Arab nations are reacting to Morsi's win, particularly, again, those nations that are in the bloc prophesied to oppose the King of the South? According to Zvi Mazel, who wrote an op-ed at the ynetnews.com website yesterday, the Arab countries view the Brotherhood as a danger. Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states are following the developments in Egypt with great concern and are refusing to help save its collapsing economy. Mazel then asked the question, will Egypt's Morsi change? Prior to his election, as we reported at the Trumpet, Morsi said, the Quran is our constitution, the Prophet is our leader, jihad is our path, and death in the name of Allah is our goal. And yet, just last week in Tahrir Square, Morsi promised that there would be no Islamization of Egyptian state institutions. So, which Morsi will step forward in the weeks and months ahead? To quote from Mazel's column once again, he wrote at Ynet News, has Morsi's faith in Islam dwindled since he was elected president? Has he been lying to himself all this time? Did the Muslim Brotherhood turn democratic immediately after winning the elections? Did the Brotherhood's plan to convert the entire world to Islam change within hours of Morsi's victory? It appears as though these questions are not being asked in Western capitals, and that the White House is prepared to march forward with the Brotherhood. Egypt's experiment with democracy, remember, has only gone on for a few short months. The Muslim Brotherhood, on the other hand, has been around for more than 8 decades. Morsi's ascent was the culmination of a far longer journey, the 84-year quest for power by the once outlawed Muslim Brotherhood. That was in the Washington Post just the other day. The article said that Middle Eastern powers are, quote, watching with dismay the wave of religiosity washing across North Africa, with Islamists poised to do well in Libya's first democratic elections this month and already running the government in Tunisia. Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states are watching with dismay, as that article brings out, with dismay as this tidal wave of radical Islam spreads right across the region. Just today, there was a report saying Morsi will be traveling to Iran next month. That's right. You remove Mubarak out of the way and then look at what happens immediately thereafter. In response to the report of Morsi's visit, Iran's foreign minister said he hoped it would lead to strengthening ties between the two countries and an upgrade in diplomatic relations. This Egyptian-Iranian alliance, of course, was all prophesied right in the pages of your own Bible. This is Stephen Flurry reporting from Jerusalem.